maplewood was adorned with the warm hues of autumn, a picturesque backdrop for the annual Thanksgiving festival. In the heart of this idyllic community, families gathered to give thanks, feast, and celebrate the bounties of the harvest. Yet beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect setting lay an unsettling legend that had persisted for generations, a tale that would soon come to fruition on this fateful Thanksgiving day. Whispers began to hushed. Uh, Whispers began in hushed tones among the townsfolk, typically as they prepared their holiday meals or arranged festive decorations. They spoke of a cursed recipe, one passed down through the hands of a long dead matriarch known as Agatha Wainwright. According to local lore, Agatha had been a remarkable cook, renowned for her mouth-watering dishes, especially her famous Thanksgiving turkey. However, her culinary prowess was shrouded in mystery and a hint of malice. As the story went, Agatha had made a pact with an ancient spirit of the harvest, a spirit that demanded a tribute each year to exchange for bountiful crops. Those who dared to alter her recipe or disrespect the traditions associated with it faced dire consequences. The townspeople recounted chilling tales of cursed feasts where the food turned to ash in the mouths of the unsuspecting, or worse, where guests vanished without a trace. Samantha and Tom Reynolds, a young couple new to Maplewood, heard these tales with a mix of skepticism and intrigue. They had recently purchased a quaint farmhouse on the outskirts of town, eager to settle into the close-knit community. On Thanksgiving morning, they awoke to the crisp, golden sunlight streaming through their kitchen window, the aroma of spices and roasting turkey filling the air. "Are you ready for our first Thanksgiving here?" Tom asked, his enthusiasm palpable as he chopped vegetables for the stuffing. Samantha smiled, her eyes glimmering with excitement. "Absolutely. I can't wait to host our feast and invite the neighbors. Maybe we can even ask about the cursed recipe. It sounds like quite the story." Tom chuckled. "You and your fascination with local legends. Just make sure not to stir any pots, okay?" With a playful nudge, Samantha continued her preparation, oblivious to the shadows that loomed over the town. The couple spent the morning bustling about the kitchen, preparing a feast worthy of the harvest. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting a warm glow that belied the unsettling tales whispered by their neighbors. Later that afternoon, the couple delivered invitations to their neighbors, welcoming them to join their Thanksgiving feast. As they walked from door to door, they encountered a mix of reactions. Some were eager to attend, while others offered cautious smiles and vague warnings. "Be careful with the turkey," an elderly woman cautioned, her voice quivering. "Agatha's recipe is not to be trifled with." Tom and Samantha exchanged bemused glances. "We'll keep that in mind," Samantha assured her, laughing lightly. "Thank you." As they returned home, Samantha's curiosity grew. "Do you think there's any truth to the legend?" she asked, her brow furrowing with thought. Tom shrugged. "Legends are just that, stories. But if it adds to the flavor of the feast, who am I to argue? Let's just focus on making it a great Thanksgiving." As evening descended, the couple finished their preparations. The dining table savory stuffing, cranberry sauce, and pumpkin pie. As the guests arrived, the atmosphere buzzed with laughter and conversation, but a sense of unease lingered in the air, uninvited yet undeniable. Among their guests was Mr. Peterson, an elderly man who lived in Maplewood his entire life. He was a font of local knowledge, and the couple invited him to share his tales. As they settled in for the meal, Tom raised a glass to toast. To new friends and old traditions. Cheers, the guests chimed in, laughter ringing through the room. As they began to eat, Samantha noticed Mr. Peterson watching her intently. "You remind me of Agatha," he said, his voice low and gravely. "You had the same sparkle in, no, she had the same sparkle in her eyes." "Really? I'd love to hear more about her," Samantha replied, intrigued. Mr. Peterson leaned in closer, his expression darkening. "She was a remarkable cook, yes, but there was a darkness in her kitchen. She loved her recipes, but there was a price to pay for that love." The laughter around the table faded as the guests listened intently. "What do you mean?" Tom asked, his curiosity piqued. "Those who tried to alter her recipes," Mr. Peterson hesitated, as if weighing his words. "They vanished without a trace. Some say she cursed them. The last time I saw her, she was muttering to herself, stirring a pot of something vile." Samantha's eyes widened, but Tom scoffed, shaking his eyes. "Come on, Mr. Peterson, surely you don't believe those old wives' tales." The elderly man fixed him with a piercing gaze. "You would do well to respect the traditions of this town, young man. There are things that lie beyond our understanding, things that demand reverence." Ignoring Mr. Peterson's foreboding warning, the couple continued their feast, but the tension hung thick in the air. The food was delicious and the laughter resumed, yet Samantha felt an inexplicable chill creeping up her spine. It was as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets long buried. As the night wore on, Samantha began to feel lightheaded, her visions blurring. She blinked, trying to shake off the sensation, but it only intensified. She glanced around the table, noticing her guests exhibiting similar signs of discomfort. One woman clutched her stomach, her face pale, while another leaned heavily against the table. "Is everyone okay?" Samantha asked, her voice laced with concern. "I'm fine," Tom said, though his tone lacked conviction. But as if in answer, the lights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced across the room. The laughter faded, replaced by an unsettling silence. The food on the table seemed to shift before their eyes, the turkey taking on a more sinister hue, its glistening skin now resembling the leathery texture of something otherworldly. Mr. Peterson's eyes widened with terror as he pointed towards the table. "The curse! You've unleashed the curse!" Samantha's heart raced as she felt an overwhelming presence in the room, a weight that pressed down upon her chest. The walls seemed to close in, the shadows stretched and writhing like living creatures. The guests exchanged fearful glances, uncertainty gripping them. "I think we should end this," Tom said, his voice trembling. He stood up, trying to restore some semblance of normalcy. "Let's all just take a breath and..." Before he could finish, the ground shook beneath them, sending the dishes clattering to the floor. The turkey twisted grotesquely, its skin stretched and contorting, morphing into a figure that resembled Agatha Wainwright herself. "Fool," she hissed, her voice echoing in the chaos. "You dared to disrupt my feast." Panic erupted among the guests as they scrambled for the door, but it slammed shut, locking them inside the haunted dining room. The apparition loomed closer, her eyes filled with a blend of rage and hunger. "You've awakened the curse," Agatha's ghost figure spat, her voice dripping with disdain. "You will pay for your insolence." Samantha clutched Tom's arm, her heart pounding in her chest. "What do we do?" "Stay together," Tom shouted, pulling Samantha closer as the apparition's laughter echoed around them. "Your ignorance will cost you dearly," Agatha warned. "You have disturbed the balance, and now the harvest spirits demands its tribute." Suddenly the room darkened further, and the shadows began to swirl, forming ghostly figures of past guests who had succumbed to the curse. They reached for the living, their faces twisted in agony, lost in a never-ending cycle of despair. As the spectral figures advanced, Samantha felt an overwhelming sense of urgency. She remembered the tales Mr. Peterson had shared about the pact Agatha had made, the necessity of paying homage to the harvest spirits. "Agatha," she cried, her voice rising above the chaos, "we honor your tradition. We mean no disrespect." The ghostly figure paused. Her expression shifted as she regarded Samantha. "You seek to appease me." "Yes," Samantha pleaded, her heart racing. "Let us make amends. We will honor your recipes, keep your traditions alive. Just spare us." Agatha's figure flickered, torn between fury and contemplation. "You think you can undo the curse with mere words?" "I believe we can," Tom interjected, stepping forward with newfound resolve. "We will respect your legacy. We will keep the harvest spirit in our hearts. We will share your recipe with the town and honor your name." The room fell silent as Agatha's ghost considered his words. The spectral figures halted, their hollow eyes fixated on the couple. "Very well," Agatha finally replied, her voice softening. "You may yet preserve the essence of my legacy, but know this: the darkness can never be fully eradicated. Your promise must be kept, or you shall join the ranks of the cursed." With those words, the darkness began to recede, the ghostly figures dissolving into the shadows. The dining room transformed back into its warm, inviting state. The remnants of the feast scattered, but the air now lighter, free from the weight of Agatha's wrath. As the last vestige of the curse lifted, Samantha and Tom found themselves alone at the table, the other guests having vanished as if they had never been there. Shaken yet relieved, the couple shared a silent understanding. They had survived the night, and more important, they had forged a bond with the legacy of Agatha Wainwright. "We did it," Samantha whispered, her heart still racing. "We appeased her." Tom nodded, a mixture of awe and relief washing over him. "But we have a responsibility now. We need to keep her memory alive and honor her recipes. It's our duty." In the days that followed, Samantha and Tom dedicated themselves to preserving the traditions of Maplewood. They organized community dinners, shared Agatha's recipes, and invited neighbors to partake in the feast. Each gathering served as a tribute, a reminder of the fragile balance between honor and despair. As Thanksgiving approached the following year, the town buzzed with anticipation. The couple had become the stewards of Agatha's legacy, assuring a that the stories and traditions lived on. And as the sun set on the eve of the festival, Samantha looked out over the gathering crowd, feeling a sense of peace enveloping her. "Do you think she's watching over us?" Tom asked, standing beside her, his voice a very low murmur. "I hope so," Samantha replied, a soft smile gracing her lips. "We'll keep her spirit alive." As the first guest arrived, the aroma of the feast wafted through the air, a celebration of life, love, and the echoes of the past. They embraced the essence of gratitude, forever intertwined with the legacy of the Thanksgiving feast of the cursed. And somewhere in the shadows of Maplewood, a spirit watched with a satisfied smile. In the early days of creation, when the earth was still young, the world was a place of balance. The land was rich, the rivers flowed freely, and the skies were painted with vibrant colors. The spirits of nature danced among the trees, and the animals roamed without fear. It was a time of harmony, a time when the Great Spirit watched over all living beings. Among the many spirits, there existed a powerful entity known as the Wendigo. This spirit embodied both the beauty and terror of nature, a paradox of abundance and hunger. The Wendigo was originally a guardian of the land, tasked for ensuring that the balance between life and death remained intact. It fed on the energies of the earth, drawing sustenance from the harmony that surrounded it. However, as time passed, the Wendigo began to change. The balance of the world shifted as humans appeared, taking more than they needed and forgetting the sacred bond they shared with nature. They hunted without restraint, and their greed festered in their hearts. The Wendigo, once a protector, became a reflection of humanity's insatiable desires. As the humans expanded their territories, the Wendigo watched in sorrow. The forests were stripped bare, the rivers ran dry, and the animals fled in fear. The once vibrant world began to wither under the weight of human greed. In response to this destruction, the Wendigo grew restless, its form becoming twisted and malevolent. It began to haunt those who wandered too far into the woods, seeking retribution for the harm done to the earth. The whispers of the Wendigo echoed through the trees, carrying tales of hunger and despair. Those who heard the whispers felt a chill in the air, an unsettling sense of dread that sent shivers down their spines. As the Wendigo's power grew, so did its hunger. It became a creature of insatiable desire, a spirit that craved not only the physical sustenance of flesh, but also the very essence of humanity's spirit. It thrived on fear and despair, feeding off the darkness that began to take root in the heart of the people. In a small village on the edge of the vast wilderness, a young hunter named Kimi lived with his family. Kimi was known for his bravery and skill, often venturing deep into the forest in search of game to provide for his loved ones. However, as the whispers of the Wendigo spread, the villagers grew fearful of the woods. They shared stories of those who had vanished without a trace, taken by the creature that now roamed the darkened paths. Despite the warnings, Kimi felt a pull toward the forest, a longing to understand the changes that had befallen the land. One fateful day, he gathered his hunting gear and set out into the woods, determined to confront the spirit that haunted his people. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the atmosphere shifted. The sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy, and a heavy silence enveloped him. The only sound was the crunch of leaves beneath his feet, a reminder of his solitude. As night began to fall, Kimi felt a presence lurking just beyond the trees. Suddenly, a bone-chilling howl echoed through the forest, sending shivers down his spine. The Wendigo emerged from the shadows, its form towering and gaunt, with hollow eyes that seemed to reflect the void of hunger. Kimi's heart raced as he faced the creature, a mix of fear and determination coursing through him. "You seek to confront me, mortal," the Wendigo's voice echoed, a haunting whisper that chilled Kimi to the bone. "You come to me with your desires, but I am a reflection of your own hunger, an insatiable void that can never be filled." Kimi stood firm despite the terror clawing at his heart. "I seek to understand your pain and to find a way to restore balance in our world. We have forgotten our connection to the land, but I will not allow your darkness to consume my people." The Wendigo laughed, a sound filled with sorrow and bitterness. "You speak of balance, yet your kind takes more than they need. You have turned your backs on the land that nourishes you. Your hunger fuels my existence." As the Wendigo advanced, Kimi felt the weight of despair pressing down upon him. He could see the truth in the creature's hollow eyes, a reflection of humanity's darkest desires. He realized that the Wendigo was not merely a monster, it was a manifestation of the greed and consumption that plagued his people. In that moment, Kimi resolved to confront the Wendigo, not with weapons, but with understanding. "I will not let fear dictate my actions. I will remind my people of the importance of gratitude and respect for the land." With newfound determination, Kimi returned to his village, eager to share his experience. He gathered the villagers, recounted his encounter with the Wendigo, and the truth he had uncovered. The villagers listened intently, their faces a mixture of fear and curiosity. "We have strayed from the path of balance," Kimi implored. "We must remember the lessons of our ancestors and honor the land that sustains us. We must share what we have and protect the fragile harmony that exists between us and nature." At first, the villagers were hesitant, their hearts still gripped by fear. But as Kimi spoke, a spark of hope ignited within them. They began to realize that the Wendigo's hunger was a reflection of their own. If they could change their ways, perhaps they could restore balance and banish the darkness that threatened their home. Over the following weeks, the villagers implemented Kimi's teachings. They gathered to share their resources, ensuring that everyone had enough to eat. They honored the land by practicing sustainable hunting and gathering, taking only what they needed and giving thanks for the bounty they received. As the villagers worked together, they felt a shift in the air. The whispers of the Wendigo grew quieter, and the weight of despair began to lift. The land responded to their newfound respect, flourishing with life and abundance. The rivers flowed freely, and the animals returned to the forests. However, the Wendigo was not vanquished entirely. It lingered at the edge of the woods, watching and waiting. Kimi understood that the spirit would always be a part of this world, a reminder of that could arise when greed took root. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the village, Kimi felt a familiar chill in the air. The Wendigo had returned, drawn by the villagers' renewed connection to the land. This time, however, Kimi stood ready to face the spirit once more. As the Wendigo emerged from the shadows, Kimi spoke with conviction. "You are not just a monster, you are a reflection of our fears. We will not let you consume us. We acknowledge your existence, but we choose to stand together against the darkness you represent." The Wendigo's form twisted and contorted, its eyes filled with a mixture of rage and sorrow. "You think you can resist me? I am hunger personified. I will always be a part of you." Kimi stood firmly, surrounded by the villagers who had gathered in solidarity. "We acknowledge your presence, but we refuse to be ruled by you. We will honor the land, share our blessings, and reject the greed that fuels your hunger." As they chanted together, a radiant light enveloped the village, pushing back against the darkness that clung to the edges of the forest. The Wendigo howled in anger, but its power began to wane. It could not withstand the strength of their unity and the love they shared for one another. With one final roar, the Wendigo dissipated into the shadows, its form unraveling like mist in the morning sun. The villagers erupted in cheer, their hearts filled with hope and gratitude. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, united in their commitment